मैंने क्या कहा था, मेरा जो सबसे जो मेरा बुरा वायरल हुआ अभी तक, जो अभी भी गालियां पड़ती हैं, वो था जिस दिन इंडिया वर्ल्ड कप हार गया था स्पोर्ट्स तक पे, तो मैंने ये कहा था और मुझे लगता है ऐसे बोला था कि अगर विराट कप्तान नहीं है T20 में तो शायद 11 में भी उनकी जगह नहीं बनेगी।
ओके,
ये मैंने तब
थैंक्स फॉर टेलिंग अस इन एडवांस दैट वी आर लाइव। सो वी बीन लाइव द लास्ट 2-3 minutes. I had no idea, no warning also given, but everyone knows why we are here. We have put a post out saying that the biggest raging subject in Indian cricket at the moment is everyone is firstly worried with the form of both Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, two stalwarts of Indian cricket, and then this is the T20 World Cup here. So are there certainties in the Indian team considering the form that they are showing in the IPL? Should we look at IPL as a criteria? And what should be India's strategy going forward? There's a school of thought that go with a young team like you did in 2007, and so we're going to debate that. With me is Vikrant Gupta. You all know him. Rajshri also makes a appearance on Sports Today very often. He's the editor of our online portal, that is India Today Sports, and he's written a column where he's argued that on current form there is no space for both Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma in the Indian T20 World Cup squad. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are going to have different views. I think that they have to be there, they should be there, and this is what we've been discussing. But I know from a lot of people who join us, they also share your opinion saying they shouldn't be. Vikrant, as he was pointing out before,
no, I'll tell you.
Went live,
see, the problem
his
is
video went viral.
The problem is it could be too late, even if you want to. So you're talking about two players. You're talking about Rohit and Virat.
Yeah.
Rohit is the captain. You just made him the captain of the T20 team. How can you not have him in the team?
People said that 2007 World Cup also 4-5 months before.
No, but how can you now say, even though we had Rohit Sharma, we appointed Rohit Sharma the captain, but based on his IPL performance, let us not have him in the World T20 team.
So you think that's the only compulsion?
No.
Otherwise you would have.
It is one of the many.
Okay.
And secondly, Virat. In fact, while we were discussing that after India lost the World Cup in Dubai, I was on Sports Talk where I said that now that you lost this World Cup and lost quite miserably. I mean, you didn't lose, you were ousted.
Yeah.
So I said for the next World Cup, you must prepare now. India will have to probably take a punt, back some youngsters, and in 12 months get them ready. So that time I had said, if Virat is not the captain, while he was not the captain, he already announced that he was not going to be the captain. I said, while Virat is not the captain, there is a possibility that he may not even be in the team.
Right.
And I thought that maybe Virat will himself also not want to play T20s. But Virat wanted to play. So now, based on the fact that the selectors haven't really given you a clear indication of changing anything. So they've told all of us that they're not changing anything.
But after IPL, will they have the same mindset, or do you think
See, the problem is, and it's also a good problem to have, bad performances in the IPL are never considered. Only good performances are. Let's say if there's a dip in your form, I have not seen players being dropped after an IPL, a poor IPL. But I've seen players who've done outstandingly well in the IPL getting a chance in the Indian team.
Well, UZ Chahal, wasn't he dropped kind of with a poor?
No, that was, see, the last World Cup, your captain, your vice captain, and your mentor, the chief coach, all of them wanted certain set of players. They got them. And they wanted Varun Chakravarti. I mean, they were red flags all the way. Varun Chakravarti was first selected for Australia. He had this bad shoulder. Even the selectors were not aware. Then another series, again the bad shoulder hadn't recovered, so nobody was aware. And then they took him to the World Cup. It was a punt. But again, UZ Chahal sat out not because of Varun Chakravarti. He sat out because of Rahul Chahar. And Rahul Chahar, again, they were red flags. Rohit Sharma dropped him from the IPL games just before the World Cup. And then you had an option of changing the team, which you did.
So that's what I'm saying. So poor IPL performances has cost people. Like
no, but Rahul Chahar stayed in the team. Hardik Pandya stayed in the team. See, Hardik Pandya also had a bad IPL. In fact, he was not even playing. He still stayed in the team. And I think, again, with players like Rohit and Virat, you can't judge them on the basis of one IPL. You can't drop them midway through a year where you've been preparing for the World Cup. Maybe last year after the Dubai World Cup, if India had decided, chalo yaar ek kaam karte hain, let us back youngsters. See, you had already appointed Rohit Sharma the captain. So Rohit had to stay in the team. So maybe they could have tried a couple of youngsters. They didn't. So they decided to stay on with the same set of players as in Dubai. Maybe a Yuzi Chahal comes in, or maybe one fast bowler will come in, and that's it.
Right.
Your batting remains the same. So you lost that World Cup not because of your bowling, but because of your batting. And it wasn't just one bad day. I think India had been lagging behind others in the T20 template. Your template was a problem.
So you are saying that. That's something you are talking about.
Yes.
Template. You're saying they lost because of batting. So then the question is, why not make those changes? And Rajshri, what are you arguing?
That's the point. Template approach, right? India's T20 template ODI approach. We've been years behind some of the most successful teams across ICC tournaments. Look, go back to 2016. Go back to 2016. You know, running singles, running twos, all of that is fantastic. But look at the 6 hitting spree. In fact, that's what I did in my
That is why you lost in the semi-final.
That is why you lost in the semi-final. That is why you lost the 2019 World Cup final, because you did not go in with a settled batting lineup.
Exactly.
You had Rahane up until the England series before that. Suddenly there is Vijay Shankar walking into bat at number 3, number 4.
Rishabh Pant was dropped.
Rishabh Pant
Dinesh
was dropped.
Karthik came back.
Dinesh Karthik came back, and he's now you're asking him to bat at a crucial position in the World Cup semi-final.
And Dhoni was batting at number 7.
Apparently,
So are
because
you
of
arguing that then there should be changes? If all this is a problem.
Until it is late now. See, okay.
Yeah, no, please go on.
No, the situation right now is not black or white.
Right.
I think you've crossed one color, and there's a journey that you need to complete.
But it's not going to happen this World Cup then.
I don't think so.
That's what I fear as well, and that's what my column was about. You know, that India need to move on from Rohit and Virat. Tell you why. 2 things. I mean, look, there is no doubting that these two have been great assets. And again, this is not just about the IPL. I mentioned that as well. It's not about one nightmarish IPL for Virat, one horrible IPL for Rohit. I mean, go back to 2016. That was probably the last time Rohit did anything remarkably well in an IPL season. He's not done. You know, his form has been overshadowed by Mumbai winning all those trophies. But look at the T20I approach. Look at the strike rate. Look at George Butler for England. You have someone called Moeen Ali at number 3. Look at Quinton de Kock's approach. His approach has changed. He was striking at 170 odd last year. Look at Martin Guptill. Okay, his average is in the maybe mid 130s. But you have a Daryl Mitchell. Look at the West Indies. So
I agree.
That is where, and I agree with Vikrant that probably you will not see. Obviously, you've appointed a captain, Virat Kohli, and in Indian cricket you don't really do away with stars all that quickly. But I feel, maybe I'm going to sound a little negative when I say this, but I'm very worried about the T20 World Cup in Australia already.
So am I.
Because Vikrant, you have Rohit, Rahul, Virat as a number 3, right? You can't drop any of these players after the Asia Cup, which is going to be
1, 2, 3 play in a certain manner. And then you want your 4, 5, 6, 7 to play in a different manner. So again, England unfortunately could not win the World Cup last year, the T20, but they had been preparing for T20 for years. I mean, that was one bad game, and they were out. They'll make a comeback this year. Australia, look at them. Look at the IPL. Don't go far. Look at the IPL. You talk about Josh Butler. Look at the way he bats.
He's brought that approach.
Okay, so I'm just going to make a counter argument on template both of you are making. Don't you think the template's a bit overrated? Take IPL for example. Who has that England approach? Kings 11 Punjab. Where are they at the moment?
No, they
who has that approach? KKR. Look at where they are. Who is the one who's playing old school cricket? Not that template. Gujarat Titans on top. SRH on top. They are not playing bang
Nikhil,
everyone. They are playing Kane Williamson on top.
KKR doesn't have that approach because they
KKR
don't have
does.
the players.
But
they don't have the players.
That's what I'm saying. But KKR
See,
said that
their top order doesn't have players who can take on the opposition. Punjab, I think the very fact that they're alive is because of the approach that Livingston brought in. If Livingston had not batted the way that he did, see, every time you lose 2 wickets, then you look out to bat for 20 overs. Livingston didn't. He said, okay, anyways, we're going to lose this game. Let me take the bull bites on. Let me try. And they won those 2 games.
I'm saying with that team, they should have been top 4.
No,
with
but
that approach, they are at 6.
No, because
had they batted sensibly, they would have been top.
they're not clicking as a team.
See, I'm saying Sunrisers Hyderabad is playing old school cricket. They're not playing that
But
template
Nikhil,
everyone has to
and
attack.
what an IPL team
Simple,
does-
old school
But it
cricket,
gives
you're
you the
winning.
balance, right?
Tell me New Zealand in the World Cup. They didn't play like that. They had Guptill on top.
No, but then
Who's a
they also had
conventional
Daryl
old
Mitchell,
school batsman who reached.
They also had Daryl Mitchell alongside. They
But
also
you
have
would
Kane
also have a
Williamson
KL
who will.
Rahul who can score at 160,
But KL Rahul
180.
is, but yes, KL Rahul strikes at 160 very rarely. I mean, you've seen instances where he can do that. Rohit Sharma, for instance, his recent T20 I strike rate last year was what, 140 and 45. He scored 4 or 5 half centuries, but you take Namibia out of it. You take Scotland out of it. You have Afghanistan. He struggled against Sri Lanka. Their approach has been the
didn't
same.
get runs.
You have 3 similar batsmen up top who are looking to play safe, like Vikrant said. You have 2-3 early setbacks, and then you're
KL,
looking
I wouldn't include in that.
But
I
then-
think he can play in a different game. You're giving
You're
examples
right.
of days when he
I'm
didn't get
taking
runs.
examples of what has happened in the past, and I agree with you. I mean, Rahul is probably untouchable. He's, in my book, probably he's the only one in the top 3 who's untouchable, given his form and his consistency. What you're also doing is, with Virat and Rohit, you're going to deny chances to either of Shreyas or Surya Kumar Yadav. 2 of India's.
Surya will play, most
Surya
likely.
and
Again,
Shreyas will miss out. Then.
we are sitting in the IPL. You've got, I think, more than 20 odd international games.
Yeah.
And you will assess the players on the basis of their performance. Surya Kumar has to play. People talk about Dinesh Karthik. I think he will get a chance to play before the World Cup.
Yeah.
South
So
Africa.
whether or not you take him to the World Cup is a different question. But you might give him opportunities, which is fine. You might give him opportunities and then assess. My point is, again, what Dinesh has done is brilliant. Why not Rahul Tewatia?
Why not Rahul?
Did he not win you a game yesterday? Did he not win you?
And
But at
consistently.
that, then they'll get everyone in. They'll say, look at Rahul Tripathi.
So that's what
then
I'm
look
saying,
at
Nikhil. That's what I'm
Umran
saying.
Malik.
That's
But
what I'm
Nikhil,
saying.
if you are looking at
If
Ranji
Dinesh
Trophy-
Karthik now is the most sought after player
Yeah.
for India, who dumped him after the 2019 World Cup?
Yeah, the Indian team, I agree. But I'm saying there's a difference between a Dinesh Karthik and Rahul Tewatia. Dinesh Karthik, I'm saying, yes, because he's played international cricket. If I'm taking someone to the World Cup, I know he's played at that level. I can't take Rahul
Nikhil,
Tewatia
can I
just
answer
now.
that?
I
About
can't
10
take-
years back, you would how would you pick your test teams? Consistent performances in Ranji.
yeah.
Why can't you develop your T20 core from the IPL? Whereas from in the past, among some of our star cricketers, they have performed after decent performances in the IPL. These guys have come back into the test team.
But I'm saying, why should IPL be? I'll give you an example. Why, we are in India, we are the only ones saying drop. Please tell me, Kane Williamson is not getting runs. Is there anyone in New Zealand who will say Kane Williamson shouldn't be part
No,
of
but
the
because he's also taken New Zealand consistently to finals. They've won the World
That's
Test
what I'm
Championship.
saying. That's what I'm saying. So you're taking. So I mean, you're now confusing Test cricket. So India did
No,
very
I'm
well.
talking about formats.
Also,
I'm talking about formats. Since, look, if you're saying, why would you?
who did? Okay, David Warner
Yeah.
had a horrible IPL leading up to the
Right,
T20
right.
World Cup. Was
But he
man of the
proved himself.
tournament.
He proved
So,
himself.
but you took him. So I'm saying, how is it that we only should base it on IPL? Other
No,
countries
but
don't.
I am not only basing it on the IPL. I said that about Rohit Sharma as well. That, forget his IPL numbers for now. For the last 5-6 years, his IPL numbers are very, it's below average anyway. But I'm talking about the recent approaches. That safety first anchor approach in T20Is won't work with your top 3 batsmen. KL Rahul, if he explodes. Rohit Sharma, if he explodes, Virat Kohli has been consistently doing that about.
Yeah.
Look at his approaches. A lot of people have said, I've read a lot of fluff stats pieces about Virat Kohli. Okay, he's not scored 100, but he's done this, he's done that. Last time he scored 100 in ODIs was August 2019.
Yeah.
Since then he's averaged 37. Is that good enough for your best batsman?
In T20s?
In ODIs. T20s,
ODIs
I think
is
I
not
would.
bad. ODIs,
But-
it isn't so bad. But then we must also not judge Virat on the basis of averages since 2019. We all know that he's going through a horrible phase, and the runs are drying now. The only thing is, because it's Virat Kohli, and the person who's been the closest to him, Ravi Shastri, wants him to pull out of the IPL. So Ravi Shastri can analyze the situation better than we can. And I think it's not just technical, it is more mental. And at times, running on the treadmill for such a long time, it can take a lot out of you. All he needs is rest. Now, when does he take that rest? Can he sit out of the IPL? He can't. Does he miss the South Africa T20s? Yes. But those T20s will also be an opportunity for him to get runs on the board. So, for somebody like Virat, it's a catch-22. Should I play? Because I can score runs the next evening, or should I sit out because I need rest? And we in India, we're not prepared to let players rest. To say, chalo ji 3 mahine main nahi khelunga. But are we prepared?
But what Ravi Shastri said is, nobody will have a problem if you rest during the IPL. Indian cricket people start questioning.
Yes.
So saying do rest during the
that's
IPL.
That's a good
no
point.
one will have an issue.
And only Ravi Shastri could have said what he said.
Right.
And also because it is Ravi Shastri, he is not being trolled. Because people do understand that whatever Ravi Shastri says will be for the betterment of Virat Kohli, at least. It'll be it'll be for the betterment of Virat Kohli. If any other player or any other journalist had said this, he would have been trolled by now.
Pull out of the
lynched him.
Yeah.
So the fact is, more than the runs drying up, I think the last game that Virat played against Rajasthan, the 9-10 deliveries that he faced, that is more worrisome.
Okay, I'm going to take a few comments and we can
More than the first ball
extend that.
ducks.
Shubham, like he's saying, that last time we made the same mistake by choosing players on IPL basis. Also, Rohit changed his template. If you see, Aditya Deshmukh is also saying, I think, there's no issue about Rohit's form as his record in IPL has never been astonishing. But Rohit in India jersey is a different man. So,
see, Aditya, I again, this will be a problem. The Rohitians versus the Viratians. So, I know Rohit hasn't looked as scratchy as Virat has.
Yeah.
yes.
Rohit does look good and then he gets out.
Shot
but
selection is the issue.
That no less a sin. Because his team depends a lot on him. And he's not been able to score runs. If you're just picking the best of the worst, I don't think that is the best way forward. Both Rohit and Virat will go to the World Cup. The only thing that can happen now, in case, hypothetically, you are sitting in the IPL and then Virat takes rest or Rohit takes rest and they start scoring runs in their usual batting orders, then the world will be fine. You will go to the World Cup, one will be the opener and the other one would be number 3. I think one point, the selectors and maybe the captain or the management may have to look at, in case runs don't come, will be to have both Virat and Rohit opening in the World Cup. See, while we talk about,
KL do?
He'll bat at 3 again, which is not the right formula. Which is not the right formula. But this
But then
might
you're
also
trying to
happen.
accommodate players, is what you're saying.
Yes. So 2007, your selectors did not tell the players not to go. It was Sachin Tendulkar who decided for himself.
And spoke for Rahul Dravid and Saurav
And Saurav
Ganguly.
Ganguly.
And they didn't like it.
So you tell me, when was the last time the Indian selectors could take a call on a big player?
Okay.
I think it was when Sachin Tendulkar was nudged.
No,
to go
MS
from
also
the
apparently in one day captaincy.
Yes, he was nudged.
At that time, he was
But
nudged.
again, the writing was on the wall. I think, I don't think people should look at it कि यार वो देखो उसको आप ड्रॉप करने की बात कर रहे हो, ये भी तो वर्ल्ड कप है. Giving up one format doesn't really cost you. I mean, I'm very impressed with Ravi Shastri. We would see and we would say, Ravi Shastri को पता है हवा कहाँ से चलती है. He'd always be on the right side of the fence. Ever since he gave up coaching, this is the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th interview that he's given, and he's stuck to just one thing. He saw what was coming in December. We are sitting in April, end of April, and there's no solution yet. I mean, the problem hasn't really
It
gone
may seem
away.
like a long time, but it's not really. You don't.
So
really
I
have
am
that
worried
kind of
about Rohit Sharma also not scoring runs, by the way.
Yeah.
He may be looking better than Virat, but runs aren't coming. I mean, a 20 or an 18 or a 22 is not the solution that you need. True. Virat will come back. But in which form, what manner, how does he bat in the World Cup? See, at times what happens is when your top players are consumed with their own personal demons, it reflects on the team. It may be reflecting on the performance of RCB. RCB is not a bad team.
Of course.
They started well, and but look at their scores now. It was Dinesh Karthik and Shahbaz who were winning them more games. The moment Shahbaz and Dinesh Karthik also stopped scoring runs, you've been losing.
So, okay, for those of our subscribers who are just joining in, just to sum up the stand that we're taking at the moment, Rajshri is of the opinion, he's written a column also, that looking at the current form, both Rohit and Virat shouldn't find a space in the Indian team, and if that happens, he worries for India's performance at the T20 World Cup. Vikrant, correct me if I'm wrong, your stance is that while you think that their form is a worry, and you had actually said it long ago that they don't fit in, or at least, you know, one or two
No, I had
between
said
them.
if Virat is not the T20 captain,
Yeah.
if Virat is not the T20 captain, maybe his place in the 11 will also be under question.
So you maintain that now, but you also say that he may not be a right
See,
fit,
what
but
I
nothing
think
can be
and
done.
what will happen are
But
two
I want
different
to know
stories.
both things. Huh? What you think and what will happen are two different things.
No, I'll stick to what I said in November.
That there's no spot.
I mean, there was an opportunity for the selectors and the management to start building younger players. Younger players, I don't say include Shashank Singh or include Abhishek Sharma. Younger players could have been a Shreyas Iyer or a Surya Kumar Yadav or somebody else, or a Shubman Gill, for example. But now that you did not do that in November, please don't do that now in May. May, if you're going to interfere with the core of the team.
But should we then assume already that the T20 World Cup in Australia later this year is almost a lost cause for
No.
us, because we
Why?
are not going
Why
to
would
tamper?
we say that?
Because we're not going to tamper. Because see, what happens
Yeah.
is, Vikrant, Nikhil, you gentlemen have covered the sports for many years. But tell me, over the last 6, 7, 8 years, the way T20 has evolved, I mean, I see it this way. There are two kinds of players that you're looking at. Either the younger generation, like Shreyas, Surya, I think all formats cricketers who can do well, or the specialists, the oldies, so to say, DK, Robbie Uthappa, doing that day in and day out. Even MS, the couple of innings that he's played, you know, he's obviously practicing those ramp shots over long on, long off. These are the two categories of cricketers that are generally doing well. Otherwise, why would a guy called Steve Smith go unsold in the auction? You're not just looking at overall records. You're looking at Steve Smith's strike
I
rate
think
and
your
average
IPL
also.
is the best barometer. I mean, your franchisees, they've got no sentiments. In national selections, you will have sentiments coming in.
No, but even these guys get wrong. Chris Gale was not picked. He then came as a replacement and destroyed everyone.
But you didn't
That was the
have
same
him.
IPL where you
No,
didn't
but
pick
you
him.
didn't have him. That's
what
a
I'm
different sentiment.
That's what I'm
Just to
saying.
say
Nobody
कि यार
picked
अब
him.
इसको क्या कर सकते हैं, इसको रखो रखो.
That was later. That's what I'm saying.
That
so
was in
the
Bangalore,
same,
you're talking about the earlier one.
Yeah, I'm saying the same IPL franchises, he went unsold. Nobody picked
See,
him.
Nikhil, the problem is
So
in
they-
India. I mean, you can't be ruthless in India because I remember, you would also remember in 2002 when Steve Waugh was playing his last Test series against India as the captain. He wanted to play the 2003 World Cup, and the selectors told him. See, 2002. No, his last Test
2004.
match was 3-4.
Yeah.
So his last Test match was January 2004. But in 2002, when he was the captain of the Australian one-day team as well, the selectors called him exactly a year before the World Cup. I said, Steve, we want to hand over the captaincy to Ricky Ponting. You may as well give up the one-day cricket. He said, no, I want to play. There's no. We are not looking at you just as a captain.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically next year, the World Cup final, Australia is 65 for 5 or 65 for 4. We don't foresee you coming down the stairs. We want Andrew Simons to come down the stairs and bat for Australia. And we want to give Ricky Ponting 1 year as the captain. So this is how Australia had prepared then.
They did that to Ricky Ponting also.
They did that to Ricky Ponting. They did that.
Yeah.
I mean that's the way it is.
Yeah.
See, Joe Root has given up captaincy because England has won just one Test match in the last 17. They've lost 5 series and they are at the bottom of the World Test Championship. But when did the slide start? About 1.5 years ago. And since, Joe Root has scored some 50,000 Test runs.
Yeah.
In India, would you have done the same?
You wouldn't. And that's the whole point. That
So
you have
in
to be
India, if there is a debate,
right?
if there is any debate,
Right.
what happens is we get the career averages, we get the career stats. I mean, only yesterday, someone I was in Sports Talk yesterday. He said, Rishabh Pant ke tum wo ho. Rishabh Pant ki strike rate is 124 versus somebody else. I said, Rishabh Pant ki strike rate is 124. I asked my statistician to check. I said, just look at the IPL, this year's IPL. So then they will start from 1971. You never go by the current form. I mean, on current form, somebody like Umran Malik, should he play?
Why not?
But the selectors will then say, नहीं यार देखो लिस्ट में ना अभी वो भी आगे है, वो भी आगे है, वो भी आगे है, वो भी आगे है. And this was one mistake we made with Navdeep Saini when he was bowling quick.
Yes.
For 2 years you didn't play him in the main team. India एक खेलो उसको तैयार करो. Fast bowler क्या तैयार करना है यार? Umran Malik can bowl a yorker. He can get the ball to come in. He's bowling stump to stump. He's enjoying running in, and he knows where to pitch the ball. So you will wait for 2 years कि उसकी पीठ चली जाए. His speed comes down from 154 to 149, and then you will play him.
Exactly.
Pakistan always produced fast bowlers because they were raw. They would learn on the job in Test cricket. White ball cricket, I still feel
that's
you've
what I'm
got to
saying.
be.
Then Test cricket, you can afford to bring them in because you can make those mistakes.
See, even if the
The
selectors
game won't
are
go away
tempted,
from you.
let's say the way Umran bowled yesterday,
Yeah.
he maintains that, and the selectors will take him to England. And then there's this Test match in Birmingham. Will they play him in the 11? No,
I don't think
because
so.
Bumrah hai, Shami hai, और कौन है?
उमेश रहेगा,
कोई एक
सिराज, then you have
Siraj is ahead. Yeah.
So which is good. There is competition. But can you take a punt and say, चलो यार तू खिला दो इसको?
Acha, Yash Vilankar is asking, sorry, interesting. He's saying out of form, UV had a dinner with Sachin prior to the World Cup in 2011. It's time for Rohit and Virat to have a small vacation with Sachin. But will they be keen to have a vacation?
Hey, there's this bio bubble. I think they met. Brian Lara.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Kohli
talking
met
to-
Brian Lara.
But what was
What
the-
happened after the...
No, but there was a debate on what. So, no, I'm sure. See, Virat must be worried. Yeah, Rohit must also be worried. And Rohit is sitting in the same dugout as Sachin. Yeah, they may be having lunch or dinner together. I mean, and there's no harm. Problem also is, I think, when you start admitting that there is something wrong. I think by now, I'm sure Virat knows that there is something wrong. Rohit Sharma also knows that there is something wrong. It's not as if the cricket is ended. Virat will come back. Virat will score runs. Rohit will also score runs. But you've got to admit the fact that this is sports. This is not films or journalism or this or that, where you get better with age. In sports, I mean, age is something you can't cheat. There will be a point in time where your mind will say something and the body can't do that. Otherwise, Sachin would have still been playing for India.
So basically, it comes down to our attitude and our approach. If you can't be ruthless, you can't end up winning 5 ODI World Cups like Australia have done.
But the
You
Australian
can't-
pitches might just suit them.
Is-
I just
yeah.
hope they
Virat.
stay in the right frame of mind. Virat and Rohit may actually like batting on those wickets where the ball comes onto the bat, and it is comparatively easier for you to hit a boundary or a six. Boundaries you can hit here also, but sixes can be a problem. You've got to be maybe a powerful hitter. In Australia, you just need to time the ball. So timing you cannot take away from them. Power may be a problem. Power may be a problem.
Aryan Natani saying, seeing the graph of Virat, I think his graph has reached the point from where his graph will rise.
I think what he's saying is it can't get any worse than this.
It's reached the lowest ebb, and from there it can only go.
I think there was a question mark on Pakistan also.
Somebody
there
said.
was a question.
Yeah, sir, great discussion, but how do you rate Pakistan in the T20
Oh,
World
bhai, they played in the semi-finals in the last World Cup.
Also, by the way, they also played that age-old template. They weren't going all
But
bang
then
bang.
they had those guys down the order.
But they didn't need the openers. Everyone was questioning their
Even with
strike rate.
Afghanistan, right?
That
a couple of-
Rizwan and Babar are playing so slowly.
I'd still question it. Given the choice, I still question Rizwan and Babar.
But they
Azam's
lost
approach
that
especially.
semi-final, no?
They lost that
That
semi-final.
one-off bad game, na?
But
That
you have to
even
win
England, who plays that template, also didn't do that well.
Nikhil, but somehow,
just saying.
who won the World Cup?
Australia did.
How
The
did
most
they
Who
balance?
reached the final? Very
the most balanced lineup. The most balanced lineup.
team in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying it's
See,
that one-off
I'm
day.
not saying it's slam
play
bang
conditions.
only. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's slam bang only. But I think you cannot just say कि जी पहले 6 ओवर में विकेट नहीं गिरेगी and 1, 2, 3 two of these 1, 2, 3 will have to bat till the 20th over. That cannot be the approach.
Yeah.
The approach, there can be one person who gets one big score and others around him. I think in T20, if you play, let's say, 17, 18 balls and get 30 runs, that's not a sin. Rather than you batting for 51 balls and ending up at 74 not out. You may not have helped your
Exactly.
team in that cause.
Exactly.
But if you get a quick 30 in 16, 17, 18 balls, you may actually help your team.
And what you're saying is what the modern T20 coaches keep talking about anyway, right? Because would you rather have a player who's averaging 45 but striking at 125, 128, or would you rather have a player who's averaging 27 but striking at 150, 160?
Yeah, sure, the latter.
Look at the likes of Prithvi Shaw, for instance. Not getting too many big runs, but when he gets going, you know that your power play is set.
So who would you pick between a Prithvi or a Rohit? I'd pick Rohit any day because I know that he can win me a game. Prithvi will give me a quick fire 50, 60 some days and then
No, but
long
quick fire
spell.
50 will be a boon.
No, but that will
will
be
be
rare.
And
be
that's
so
the
rare.
IPL. The problem is in
Yeah.
international cricket.
Yeah.
And it comes
But have you
rarely,
given
I
Prithvi
don't
Shaw
know.
that kind of run in international cricket? I mean, he got a few.
He's
games in
himself
Sri Lanka.
responsible for
his
where he
attitude.
is.
Yeah. I would blame his attitude for that for sure.
I mean, why is Rohit Sharma indispensable? Why is Virat Kohli indispensable? Even KL Rahul, why is he indispensable?
Absolutely.
Even Rishabh Pant now. They must have done something wrong, something right.
Yeah.
More right than
Of course.
wrong.
So Sankalp Sahu says the problem with Rohit and Virat is that they can't even rotate strike regularly now to spinners. I have never seen Virat play
Spinners
full
is a
continuous
problem.
dot balls. in
Spinners is a
T20s.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Spinners is actually a problem.
Yeah. AJ Iskon says to win a World Cup, you need champion mindset. Australia won World Cup with Warner having Finnish tag, Pat, Josh having only Test tag, Rohit, VK once in form are champs. KL succumbs under pressure. Iyer is mediocre. No, Iyer in Australia, I'm not
Iyer
sure.
is,
With short
vulnerable.
pitch, quick.
Yes, with the short pitch.
He has to
Yeah.
look at how to get runs in international cricket. I mean,
Right.
being fidgety will not serve any purpose.
Right. I mean, getting runs in India are very different from getting runs in Australia.
But again,
Any format.
you've got to give him opportunities.
Because
You
how
can't
about-
just judge him.
Do you see maybe either of Virat or Rohit resting alternate series up until the Asia Cup? You give these guys. That
I don't think so.
opportunity.
That's the right manner. The South Africa home series could be the only option. Maybe when from England they travel to the West Indies for a short series. That's it. I don't think you can take the England games lightly. You can't take the Asia Cup lightly.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Ki, let us regroup in the World Cup."
Before
Before
Asia
the
Cup,
World
yeah.
Cup, your Asia Cup has got to be a mini trailer for the World Cup. You've got to have your 11 ready in whatever condition, and you need to have a plan A and a B in the Asia Cup itself.
Maybe unleash specialists now after this T20 World Cup. Again, I agree that it is perhaps too late for this T20 World Cup to tinker too much because we haven't yet played a full strength 11, whether it's New Zealand, West Indies,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, at any of these home series, and we have just 3 or 4 tournaments before the T20 World
yeah.
Cup. We haven't yet played. We don't know what our full strength T20 11 is. But maybe it's time to regroup and reassess that situation. Go back to the 2007 model. I think one of you was talking about it before the show started.
Yeah,
Go back to the
2007.
2007 model, and you're right.
But
Nobody
the
could
one difference, in
Yeah, sure.
2007 World Cup, because people keep pointing out, young team, they'd had a lot of experience, guys. Like
They do.
Yuvraj had played for a good 7 years or
Sehwag.
so. Sehwag, Gambhir,
Agarkar
Ajit
was there.
Agarkar, Harbhajan Singh.
Yeah,
They're
they
all
were
very
experienced
experienced
guys.
team. Yeah.
They
so-
were experienced guys.
And you still have them. You have Rahul, you have Bumrah.
I
you
think
have,
MS was very irreverent as a captain, and he wasn't really a captain. I think he was something else. After a few years, when he started captaining the team,
Yeah.
the problems began. But MS was very irreverent. He wasn't your usual captain who would take the right decisions.
Right.
Going to Joginder Sharma wasn't really a right decision.
We had no
11
option,
needed,
Yeah.
I think.
11 needed,
the
he got
time.
hit for a 6,
Yeah.
then bowled a wide, and India won the game. So,
There's
you
more
know,
out of compulsion than smart move as such.
And it
but
just
then,
clicked,
but then
right?
that was
Yeah.
Dhoni.
Yeah.
That was Dhoni.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2011 World Cup, do people talk about Zaheer Khan and his contributions?
Yeah.
We don't. Do we talk about the others? We don't. Even Virat Kohli scored runs. But we remember MS Dhoni because he clicked in the finals. Otherwise, for him, I know as a captain, India were never at the top of their game throughout the World Cup.
Right.
I mean, there were some cracks or the other, but the team was so good that they won the World Cup. And the night of the finals, MS Dhoni decided to make it his own.
Yes.
Because he had that charisma. And he had that knack of rising to the occasion. Virat has done that so many years. When he was the captain, when he was a batsman. And that is why we can't digest the fact that Virat is no longer the Virat that we knew. I mean, for 2.5 years or more than that, he's not scored a century yet. He's got 70 international tons under his belt. Is he a freak? I mean, getting a century every second day, was it really possible? Was it even possible? Even now.
That was
look
superhuman.
Look at his
Yeah,
70
that was
international centuries and the number of innings that he's played. I mean, I think his conversion rate
Freakish.
would be still one of the best.
Yeah.
Even with these 100 innings having come
Yeah.
without a century.
Okay, so final thoughts before we wrap up. After the debate that we have, that will Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma feature in the T20 World Cup? Even if they feature, is that the right call? So what have we concluded? Any change of mindset? You still maintain that Indian team is best without them?
I think in the T20 format, they're best without them. Again, realistically, the T20 World Cup, you don't have a lot of time, but you have to move on from them. That is the argument I have. They have to move on from these two, look at fresher options in the top three.
You have to move on, but you can't, is what you're saying.
But you can't. It's not the time. It's not the time. And I don't think we are daring enough to take that call. The player might. I mean, we leave it to the player concerned. If the player says, ki, yaar, look, I don't want to go.
Oh, that's not happening. Let's be realistic, that's not happening. Because also, I'm not looking at it skeptically, but I'm saying because players of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's stature, that self-belief is what makes them different from everyone else. They believe that, listen, a big knock is just around the corner. I've done it so many times in the past. I'll go and conquer the world once again. I think that's what makes them very different. So, thanks so much for your time and joining us.
Thanks, Ricky Patel.
Who's that? Ricky Patel,
Patel.
from US.
Yeah.
US of A. Ricky Patel joins us. He every day comes and his one line is Gujarati sab pe bhari, and every time we joke and his team is doing fantastically
Gujarat
well.
is-
Every day they are sab pe bhari.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are having an outstanding season.
So Kapil Kumar has sent the
World Cup 11 also we get. He's picked Rohit, Rahul, Virat, Sky, Hardik, Pant, Jadeja, Chair/Harshal, Yuzi, Shami, Bumrah. I think he's got it bang on. I think there won't be too many changes. I think this is exactly how the team will look like. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today if you haven't already. We'll see you at 6:45, beginning of another game this evening. As always, bye bye.